Konnichiwa, hello and welcome. This is Roy at Ninjazilla90, and today I will be reviewing the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla Final Wars Gigan 2004 Great Decisive Battle version. And I got some things to say about it. So, let's get things started. And now, here we have the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla Final Wars Gigan 2004 Great Decisive Battle version figure right here before us in all of his evil cyborg alien monster glory. As you can see, this is a well-sculpted, well-detailed figure sculpted by the famous S.H.MonsterArts sculptor himself. We all know him by name, Yuji Sakai. Of course, as you can see, this figure has more of, instead of like the normal black colorization you would get with the Final Wars Gigan, this is kind of more of like a really dark navy blue, I would say. Like more of like a really dark metallic navy blue. With some little bitty hints of silver here and there. Of course, we have Gigan's very red one-eye visor right here, so we can bring him up close so we can see that big red visor that makes up his very cyclopsy like one eye, technically, which means, yeah, Gigan might could wink, but he can't blink, unfortunately. Yeah, and he can't twiddle his thumbs either because he doesn't have any. But other than that, yeah, this is a really cool figure. We don't have like the normal Showa era saw blade in the middle of his chest. It's just kind of like this bar with, you know, this row of spikes in the middle. So we do have that. We do have like spikes right here on the shoulder armor, although they're not exactly symmetrical. We have spikes on his knee pads, and we have his spiky, like his one spiky toe, I guess that's what you call it, like a spike toe. This is actually die cast, so that is really cool. So we do have some elements of die cast in here. And of course we have his back dorsal fins, which can open up like so, and we can put them in flying mode. I'll go through that as I go through, you know, articulation and detail and stuff with going throughout the different portions of the body. And of course we can see the spiked armor covering his tail on all the different segments, and we can see that he has this very deadly armored barb at the end of his tail as well. I believe he uses this like to drag down Mothra in the Godzilla Final Wars movie, and I think he also uses it against Godzilla as well. So that is a very dangerous weapon that the Final Wars Gigan has on his tail when compared to the original Showa era Gigan. And also, he can fire these chain shots out of his sickle blades as well. So, yeah, this is a very deadly version of Gigan. And also, I got all of his accessories, so we can do the upgrade as well with the armored neck and the upgraded head crest and mandibles, and, you know, get those chainsaw blades in there. So, well, I will be getting started reviewing this figure in detail and articulation, starting with the upper body portion of the figure, working my way down to the lower body portion of the figures, and then getting on to his transformation with his accessories. So let's get started. Now, starting things off with the upper body portion of the figure, getting into articulation. Starting with the head can look up about that much, we can look down about that much, we can look right about that much, we can look left about that much, and we can't really look down too much. We do have a slight ab crunch in the top torso, but we can't really move it too much because it's hindered by the sculpt. We also have a swivel hinge joint in the shoulders, so we can swivel them all the way around a full 360, and we can bring them up like so for a T-pose. So let me demonstrate. Also, as shoulder armor does like to pop off a lot, so yeah, demonstrating those the shoulder articulation, and we can bring them back down. And just for the record, his shoulder joints can pop off really easily as well. So if we do want to remove them and put them back, we can. And just giving you guys a quick look at how that shoulder hinge joint works, so we can get a closer look at that, because we can easily pull them out. Same is true with the other arm, so you can see what's what. And also we do have a upper elbow swivel as well, so I'm gonna just demonstrate that before putting it back on. And just to show you, same is true with the other arm as well. So you do have that swivel in the elbows. I'm just going to leave that shoulder armor off for now while I'm doing arm articulation, because that's just going to keep falling off. We do have a double hinge joint in the elbows, so we can move them forward and back. Same is true with the other side, so very good for stop motion and figure photography if you're into that. And we do have a full 360 swivel as well. Same is true with the other side. And also these are removable to swap them out with the chainsaw blades. The jaw is on a hinge, so on a ball joint, so we can open that jaw and we can see all those finer details on the inside of the mouth, like so. All those very beautiful sharp pearly whites and all the finer details on his tongue and everything. Let me get his shoulder armor back on, hopefully, which is technically going to pop off again anyway, especially when I change out the neck for the armored neck when I do the transformation. So it's kind of putting them back in now. It's kind of pointless, but I'll just go with it. Now turning around the back to the back, so we can get a look at those dorsal fins that he uses practically to fly. They can open up like this on a hinge, so we can spread them out, and we can move the middle one up a little bit too on a vertical hinge, where the hinges for the right and left dorsal fins are horizontal, so we can put them like that and then put the dorsal fins back down. But do be careful, because I do fear that the dorsal fins can break if you handle this figure incorrectly, or if you accidentally drop it, or if it takes a shelf dive. So I do recommend handling with caution and great care. So with that said, this pretty much concludes it for the upper body portion of the figure. Now let's work our way down to the lower body portion of the figure and go over the legs and the tail in detail and articulation. So let's get to it. And now, starting things off with the lower body portion of the figure. First things first, the hips are on butterfly style ball joints, so they are on sort of like these ball joint hinges. We can move them in about that much. We can move them out about that much, but not too much, because they do like to pop out a lot. We can kick forward about that much and back down. Same is true with the other leg, and back down. We do have a double joint hinge in the knee, so we can bend that forward and back. Same is true with the other side. We also have a swivel in the ankles, but do be careful. I had to heat mine up and apply a lot of dish soap in order to get them loose enough to move without risk of breaking it. So I do advise being cautious when doing that, because these figures are expensive enough already, and I sure in the hell would not want to have to be going seek out a replacement and paying out of the wazoo twice. So yeah, we also do have a good swivel hinge in the foot as well, so we can swivel that foot all the way around. I'm not going there. I need to loosen that up. Same is true with the other side. Yeah. I definitely need to hit this with some heat and get that foot loosened after I finish this review. So I'll definitely see to that. We do have die casts and those spike toes, and we can point them forward and then back. And also the knee guards are on hinges as well. Well, slight hinges because we can move them slightly, like so. And we do have multiple ball joint segments in the tail. Like I mentioned, we do have those that bladed spiked armor plating going all down the tail, where it tapers off to where it sort of gets between the tip of the tail and the end of the tail right there, and then we sort of continue with the armor and the tip of the tail where it tapers off into the sort of five spike barbs, because if you count the one in the middle, yeah, right there. And we can move the tail in multiple different poses, so this is really cool. So tail is very satisfying on this figure, I'll give it that, although it does tend to pop apart a lot, especially in the legs and in the shoulder armor, so I do advise being careful. So yeah, that pretty much concludes it for articulation with the lower body portion of the figure. So now I will be getting into his transformation and his accessories, so let's get to it. And now getting started with his transformation and accessories, starting off with, everything comes with is pretty much accessories, starting with the scatter beam. Technically, we do get a sort of a different stand with this one than we usually get with the other MonsterArts figures. Technically, what you do with this is you take the scatter beam, you plug it into the ball joint socket there, you plug it to the stand, and you line it up with his visor, and you do basically, wait, I got it in his mouth, like so. And that's practically how that works. I don't really display it with the scatter beam too much, but just giving you guys a quick look. It's hard to get on camera where I have my camera positioned, but you get the idea. You can see it right there. That's the scatter beam effect part. Now let's get on to his transformation. Well, before I get on to the transformation, show you guys how to apply his chain shots. Technically, I have them right here. I'm only going to show you with one, though. They are interchangeable on both his arms, so let me make sure I got hold up. Let me swap this one out, because yeah, I gotta make sure I have a let me see. Alrighty, I believe so. Alright, here we go. Make sure I got a right and a left. So technically, I just at the same time, I'm just going to do one sickle blade. So basically what you want to do is you want to pop these out like so. Alright. And to make it easier, you can just pop the sickle blade off completely. Pull this hinged chain shot. I mean the not hinged chain shot, the retracted chain shot out. So it should look like this afterwards. You can do this with both sides, but to save time, I'm just going to demonstrate with one. So basically, what you want to do is take this and just line up the little bitty round peg with the round small peg hole, and the square peg with the larger square peg hole, and you just push that in like so, and then we have the chain shots right there. Well, one chain shot, let me get the other one. So and you basically do the same thing, and you would do the same thing with the other sickle blade as well, but like I said, to save time, I'm only going to demonstrate with one. So like I said, I do have the other two chain shots right there, but I'm just going to demonstrate with one because I don't want to make this video too long. So basically put that in there, and I'm going to demonstrate with my BanDai vinyl, well, my BanDai America vinyl Godzilla Final Wars. Basically, he fires these off at Godzilla in the movie, and he basically wraps around him like so, and he tries to pull him in and slash him technically, but that's when Godzilla uses his atomic breath heat ray and blasts off his head, and technically gives Gigan his first KO in the movie. So Godzilla took round one there, and he eventually and then Mothra lands the final blow toward the end of the movie when he gets his upgrade, sadly sacrificing herself. But anyway, yeah, that's how his chain shots work. So let me take this out. So yeah, I can leave this out for now anyway. That shoulder armor is going to keep falling out regardless, so I'm doing a transformation. I'm not going to need that in anyhow, so although do be careful because they do like to get stuck sometimes. That's why I don't like swapping them out too much, but I got it. Sorry about that, I hit my camera. They do like to get stuck, but anyway, pop that out and pop this out. So let me get the retracted chain shots back in. Alright, I'm just gonna pop this out because that has to come out anyway to do the full transformation. So let's get out these mandibles, get the top head crest off. Alright, pop off the neck, and then pop off the head, like so. We take the head, we take this neck piece right here, the armored neck piece, put this to the side. Pop the head in there like so. Make sure you have it lined up properly, and then you attach it like so. Alrighty. We want to grab his upgraded serrated mandibles, put those in. Make sure I'm putting them in right, because sometimes one peg hole is bigger than the other, so we do have to make sure we are getting them in right. And no, I gotta swap them. Alright, this one goes in on this side. Okay, this one on this side. So alright, now I got it correctly, so it should look like that. And then what you want to do afterwards is you want to take the top head crest and then put that in there, and then finally, before I put a shoulder armor back, I'm going to put the chainsaw blades in. So one in and get the other one in like so. He's laying back, so I gotta fix them. And then finally, the most annoying part is getting his shoulder armor back in. So that's one thing about this figure that likes to fall off a lot is the shoulder armor, which is just a pain in the booty, which is one of the reasons why I opt not to collect as many S.H.MonsterArts figures anymore because of the expensive price tags and the declining quality. But it is what it is. So there you have it, the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla Final Wars Gigan Great Decisive Battle version, and its fully upgraded form with the chainsaw blades. Now the coolest part about the chainsaw blades is they actually move, so you can kind of get that actual chainsaw action with them, like that. That would be really good for stop motion. Although, like I would advise being careful because if not careful, these rubbery chainsaw blades can break, so I don't want that. You wouldn't want that popping, or like the teeth to like get ripped off and fall off. So that's another thing. But yeah, I think this is an overall good figure. I really like it. Also, like I mentioned, we do have really good tail articulation, so we can move that tail all sorts of ways. We can put him in a flying pose if we want to as well. So we can kind of get them like that if we want to. So it's all well and good with this figure. In most cases, when it comes to articulation, but it does like to pop apart a lot. So that is the downside. So with all that said, it is now time to get into my final verdict and give this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability. So let's get to it. And now for my final verdict on the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla Final Wars Gigan 2004 Great Decisive Battle version figure here. If I have to give this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability, I have to give him a drum roll, please. A fair but square, well-deserved 3.4 stars. Why? Although I still feel this is a really good figure, but only if you are a longtime hardcore Godzilla fan that wants a well-articulated, well-detailed, highly posable, premium, movie-accurate Final Wars Gigan figure. This is the figure for you. Although I wouldn't overpay. I wouldn't pay aftermarket prices. Like I mentioned, it is good for stop motion figure photography, but the big letdown with this figure would be is the shoulder armor likes to pop off a lot, and the hip joints get loose to where the legs fall off a lot, and you might need to use some heat it up and use some dish soap in the ankles and in the feet area where like we have the top ankle right here. Might need to use some dish soap in the lower ankle like I have earlier, and yeah, you get the point. So like I said, it's a really good figure, but like I said, I had to take points off because it starts falling apart in various areas. Like I said, shoulder armor in particular, and in the hips. So, yeah, I can't recommend this figure for everybody, especially with the expensive price tag. But it's still a good figure to have nonetheless. So, I mean, rather not, you want to hunt one down, is up to you. But I would just seriously, wait it out for a reissue by this point, but only if you really, really, really want this one. Other than that, I would just suggest, holding off to see if Hiya Toys makes their own version of this one, which I'm more than sure they will, at some point when they start getting more into like Final Wars and Millennium stuff. So that's that. So that pretty much concludes it for my review on the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla Final Wars Gigan 2004 Great Decisive Battle version figure. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far into the video, that really helps out this channel. Your engagement is appreciated. And if you want to help out this channel even more, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, stay safe, take care, God bless, stay powered up, and peace out.